Yo, internet. Welcome back. I'm in the airport, so that means only one thing. I just had some Shake Shack, and we're going to do another cost breakdown of what it costs to Coyote swap the 2014 Expedition. And you could probably even do it cheaper. So let's get right to it and see what it costs. All right, first meat and potatoes of the cost was the engine. I bought a 2012 Mustang variant engine that included the engine harness, ECU, starter, basically fully dressed for $3,000. And it was extremely low mileage. Show you a little picture-in-picture view here of just how clean it was. I wasn't sure the mileage, but I guarantee this thing was like at least 50 or under, 50,000 miles or under. So really good buy. I did open up all the way to put oil pump gears and sprocket in because I thought I might be boosting it, but I will not be including that in the cost because it's something you don't have to do to the swap. It's not necessary. Next up, business, a 2011 to 2014 battery harness from a 5.0 F-150. Now, it needs to be 5.0 specific because of the connections that the battery harness of those trucks have and how we interface our make it modular harness. So that cost, I bought a used one for $130. So that's, we'll put that back in there because I put a new price in there. Because a new price you can't get, they're discontinued. They were like $220 if you could find a new one. So $130 for an F-150 battery harness from a 2011 to 2014 5-liter truck. Next up, I'm just gonna kind of bulk all this cost in there, everything to make the AC work, because you reuse the 5.4-liter AC compressor. So we're talking the power by the hour AC bracket. It's $109 shipped usually. AC belt, idler pulley belt, and the AC tensioner from an 11 to 14 or 11 to 12 F-150. So they get the 6 rib. Unless you have an F-150 engine, a later one that has the 4 rib, then you want to get the later 13 to 14. But that total cost was $253.09. Now where it got really goofy, I did end up having to buy a Dorman junction kit for heater hoses for Fords. That was $27 to kind of mate the heater hoses of the F-150 to the Expedition, because the Expedition has rear heat and there's no F-150 rear heat hose application, so I had to kind of adapt that. Even though I already had the heater hoses, I only used one from the 08 Coyote swap we did, so that was $45. Dorman brand. Got a couple of radiator hoses again, actually the expansion tank, so I was able to reuse the upper half of the air box intake, not to mention the mass airflow sensor. Like I'm telling you, I didn't have to do any sensors hardly extra because they were all on the Expedition already, like the O2 sensors, but I digress. So we had to get an expansion tank because the Coyote version of the 09 to 14 is pressurized, where the 5.4 is not. So that was $122 for the expansion tank for the from the 09 to 14 trucks, Dorman brand. Okay, next on the list, upper and lower hoses. So this is also Dorman brand. One was $30, so we'll call that a total of just about $80. $80. I did have to. Nice thing, if you notice in our videos, I'll put in a little clip here, that the lower hose from Dorman is modular, no pun intended. So they have clamps holding the pieces together, and so I was able to reuse the F-150 oil cooler that comes factory on those F-150 trucks, 11 to 14. And I was able to, in order to not swap the radiator, I chopped like a third off of the 5.4 hose and put it on this Dorman hose, make it look super factory. Moving down the list, we got a return hose, a couple of other random hoses here. The expansion tank to the engine is F-150 specific, so that was another Dorman $19 special, and a return hose. I'm not even sure if I use it or not, but we'll throw it in there. $20, so got another total of $40 there. Had to get the PATS delete, so took the computer that came with that 2012 engine, had power by the hour do the PATS delete, and that was $250 if you have to do it. That's with shipping. And then I also highly recommend doing this is getting the electric rack from an 11 to 14 F-150 to throw it in there. I got one with the core charge of a whole $25. It was $300 to get an electric rack, and it bolts right up into that truck. Picture in picture will show that again. So $300 electric rack conversion, can't beat it. Otherwise, you're spending a lot of money to get the speed drive from Power Dollar, which is nothing wrong with that. It's great in hydraulic or steering situations, but when you have an electric rack option for your swap, such as this in a later model that bolts in, there's just no way to do it, because now all your front accessories for your Coyote are stock. You don't have to spend, you spend about a third of the money getting the rack. Last but not least, making modular harnesses. Pretty cheap for the Expedition. There's not much to it. We're interfacing with just a couple few things. So the actual, just to get the Coyote running and have it, the alternator, steering, and AC all work properly is a $200 harness. And if you, we have another harness for the electric rack that does involve 2 splices. That's another $50. So you have to spend a whopping $250 in harnesses from myself to get that thing running in your 11 to 14 Expedition. All right, so we're gonna do what it cost before the engine, and if you can do simple math and remember how much I paid for the engine, you can figure out the rest. But minus the engine, just parts cost was $1,600 and some change. $1,605.29. Pretty dang cheap for just parts in it. Because remember, we got to use the trans, flex plate, motor mounts, Y pipe bolted up to truck manifolds, and did fail to mention that I had some manifolds. You can give or take, you know, who's selling first gen F-150 Coyote manifolds? Nobody. They're probably maybe $100 a pair. So I'm gonna call the subtotal with the engine and parts involved was a grand total of $4,600 and change, $4,605.29. Now, what the actual total cost is, and I always like doing this because I did get to sell some things off the Expedition that I don't need. This is just personal. Like if this engine I was able to use as some core parts to return, and just because no one's going to give you $1,000 for a 543 valve that has a hole in the piston, but I was able to use the heads and the block to get some core money back for some stuff that I purchased. And my total cost, and this can also relate, let's say your 5.4 was running and you just want to do the Coyote swap, someone's probably going to give you $1,000 for a running 5.4, if not more. So my total cost to do this swap and just parts, no labor, I don't count my labor, is $3,600. So I got $1,000 with the core parts. I was able to return to the dealer for, you know, some new stuff that didn't have cores, but that's how much this Coyote swap cost me. It's $3,600. Unbelievable. So as it's sunsetting here in Arizona, we're going to off to Seattle Formula Drift, and I'm still working on, like I said, getting the PCM to play nice with all the other modules. I did find a little trick I'll show you guys in another video of how I got everything to jive without doing anything so far, except the airbag was still on, so I had no check engine lights. Even traction control worked on the 2014 Expedition. But what I'll let you know, a little clue is that I'm trying to flash the Mustang tune on the original Expedition ECU because I feel like the hardware is there, and the fact that Alex Flores was able to Coyote swap his late model GT500, I think it's a 1314, and reuse that GT500 ECU to run a Gen 1 Coyote, essentially, even though he has like a 321 setup or whatever, it's still Gen 1 generation, and that original 5.4, 5.8 didn't have VCT and they got it to work. Leads me to believe that the hardware is in that Expedition ECU, and I may be able to flash it too and make it work, so we'll see. But short video probably, because obviously there wasn't many parts to go over. So thanks for watching, and please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We will see you next time.